Hello, so today we're going to have a go at making a 3-colour print. So hopefully you've already made some stencils. So here are some of mine that I made earlier. Some of them are loosely inspired by the cutouts that an artist called Henri Matisse made in the 1950s. And some of his shapes are kind of figurative. They look like things. It looks like a person. This kind of looks a bit like coral, doesn't it? And this kind of looks like a starburst kind of thing. And others might be sort of just simple geometric shapes. Got some semicircles here and triangles, diamonds. I've also kept bits that you've cut off. So this has obviously been cut out of here. You might keep those because they're interesting abstract shapes too. Remember, abstract means it doesn't have to look like something that you would see in nature or in the world around you. I've done one where you cut out the middle, where it was folded in half like that, and then cut some shapes out. So I've got lots of stencils here. All together, all of that has come from one sheet of A4 cartridge paper. And then I've got a piece of styrofoam, sometimes gets called safe print. This stuff is basically an A4 polystyrene thin sheet. As you can see, it's stuck into a plastic pocket wallet there. I've got some masking tape, so I'm just going to tape it down. Hopefully you've got newspaper underneath if you're working at school. I'm going to tape it down just on the side that's got the hole punches in there. Just a few small pieces. And that's just for when you're printing, that it doesn't move around a lot. And here, this is just a piece of scrap paper and your roller. And last thing that you're going to need are your paints. So the brighter colours, the better, really. I'll show you a print that I made earlier, and this is with colours that weren't so bright, apart from the red. The green, I started off with the yellow, but it was kind of like, it's called a yellow ochre, which is more of a dull yellow. And then I went to the red there, which was nice and bright, but then I covered a lot of the red with this green. It made this kind of brownish colour, so not as good, I thought. So anyway, your first job then is to choose your first colour. I'm going to start just with primary colours. So I've got some yellow. It's all acrylic paint, some blue and some red. So when you're choosing paint, it's best for you to choose a paint that comes out in a blob, so it's not really runny at all. So you start off, I would say, with a couple of blobs and then roll it out. I'll go top to bottom first and then side to side and keep rolling. You know you've got enough when you can't see white underneath, so you can't see what's underneath, and there might just be some thin kind of ripples in it when you look closely. So when I look closely at that, there are some thin ripples, so that's probably about right. Now this acrylic paint that I'm using here, this one, it's probably not the type that you would normally get in schools, but any type that you've got is fine as long as it's acrylic and it's not too runny. Okay, this one is more the type that you might get in schools, and we'll use that next. Okay, so I'm going to start with my biggest stencil here. So these stencils get called masks because they are masking off parts of the picture, and you're thinking about composition, where to place things. So which ones are you choosing and where to place them? I want a combination of some curved lines, I think, and some straight lines. So that's got straight edges. I think that'll look good, quite good next to a kind of curvier line there. So I'm going to do that. Let's see. I'm going to have a semicircle floating around. I have this. So when I make this print, these stencil masks will leave the paper white. You'll see in a moment. So it'll leave some white bits. I think that's enough for now. I want to have lots of that yellow. So then my next job is to get a piece of paper. And if you use your normal cartridge paper, from school. It's like sketchbook paper. Anything like that will do. So I've got a sheet of cartridge here. Here we go. So I press that down really firmly. I line it up so it covers the whole thing. And you press so hard that you should be able to feel those stencils underneath. I've tried this in the past where you use a dry roller and you roll over it, but you tend to find that it makes the stencils stick to the pocket wallet and you can't get them off. Okay, press, press, press. Don't keep it on too long because it's drying the whole time. Okay. So there's my first version. As you can see, some bits have come out really well and some not so well, but that's all part of the journey, I think. So it's part of the fun of it and the mystery of it, how well they come out. But it doesn't matter to me as long as I've got some white bits and I've got some of that beautiful yellow on there. My next job is to let that dry. So put that in the drying rack if you've got one. And then very quickly, you've got to peel off your stencils because they will kind of pretty much glue themselves down if you don't. And don't throw them away, keep hold of them. Because you might be able to reuse them. Or someone else might be able to reuse them. And then, once you've done that, next job is get the paint off the roller. And that's where your scrap paper comes in. So just roll as much paint off as you can, just like that. As you can see, it started to come off. And then you're going to need either a wet paper towel. I've got kitchen roll. Or best thing you can use is kind of like a thin J cloth, you know, those blue and white cloths, because you can have it wet and you can just keep it with you at the table the whole time. And what I'm doing there is I'm just rubbing off all the excess paint so you can get your roller clean. That saves you having to queue up at the sink and clean your roller off. If you're working in a school and there's lots of children who need to clean a roller, better that they do it at the table like this, with a wet cloth preferably, or wet paper towel, so you can see how much is coming off there. Okay, so just get that clean and then we'll be ready for the next layer. So you've got your roller clean now, and while you're cleaning your roller, your first print probably more or less dried out. It might not be bone dry, but the paint's probably not going to come off on your hands. Okay, and this one on the pocket wallet there, that'll also be pretty much dry. So what we could do now is we can carefully peel off the masking tape, and because we're going to reuse it, so don't scrunch it up, and flip that over and use the other side. And we'll put the masking tape always on the where the hole punches are on that side, one at the top, one at the bottom. And then you're going to roll out your second colour, and you're going to choose where where the other stencils are going to go. So this is your second colour of 3. So I'm going to do red next, but you might decide that you're going to choose where your stencils go first of all. Now, if a bit too much comes out, that's quite a big blob of red there. Don't do another blob, just do one and see if that's enough. Once again, you'll know if it's enough. Obviously, first of all, it needs to cover the whole of that kind of A4 pocket wallet that you've got with the polystyrene sheet inside it. So as long as it covers it, and there's no bits, because this is red, if it's not covered very well, some bits will look a bit pink like that. So keep going over those bits. I think this is okay. I think that was about enough paint. Now, you might also see, so if you press hard, you'll get some edges, some lines like that. I don't know if you can see that, but there's some lines there. So your last few rolls should be nice and light for every layer that you do. Last few ones, nice and light. Once you've covered it all, just go over it all one more time, nice and light. And remember, put this down this way round, yeah, because that bit there is designed so it will sit on the table without getting paint all over it. Okay, and then once again, like I just said, I'm deciding where these bits go. That'll end up being over there. So I think if I just put this person there, they'll end up yellow. In fact, I'll move them over a little bit. So I think that leg will cross over onto that bit there, and we'll see. Okay, and then it's a case of putting lots of other stencils down. You should probably count how many you've got and try and even it out, really. So I've probably got about 15 or so stencils, and I'm just gonna do the rest a bit randomly. I think that's enough. All right, and then line up your bottom edges if you can, and then press, press, press with your hands. Press so hard that you can feel the edges of the stencils underneath. Now, if you leave it on too long, it'll just glue itself on pretty much. So not too long. Let's have a look. All right, starting to look interesting now. Ah, there we go. Look, we did see that other edge of the leg there. It's just some of it is now white. Okay, good. So, starting to look a bit more interesting. And then next step will be to do the next colour, but you follow the same pattern. You put this to one side to dry. If you've got a drying rack, even better. Put that to one side. You peel off your stencils straight away, because they'll end up kind of gluing themselves on. There you go. Yeah, I can already feel that these stencils are nearly glued on. If I left them a few minutes longer, they'd be difficult to get off. So yeah, first job once you've done your print is stencils off. Okay, what you could also do, actually, that'd be interesting, is get a piece of scrap paper and just pull some more of that paint off. So this is scrap paper. I've got some bunnies on this side for Easter. There you go. There you go, look at that. You can get an extra print out of it. So yeah, you might get some of those shapes that will come out on an extra print there that you can put to one side. That might be useful for something else later. Yeah, once again, need to roll all that paint off. Look how much of this is coming off. See, already there's quite a lot coming off. This is on the scrap paper. Get rid of that. Okay, and then you'll get your wet paper towel or wet cloth, even better. I've only got kitchen roll. And clean your roller. And while you're doing that, this red one is drying out, which is good because we're going to end up flipping it over again. Okay, so our print now looks like this, doesn't it? You've got where the yellow has crossed over with the red there. You've got some orange bits that you can see around here. You can see lots of white bits in between and some kind of fuzzy edges. That's partly because the pocket wallet I was using wasn't so smooth. It's partly because it doesn't, it clings onto some of the paint. If you use something else called a gel plate, for example, most of the paint would come off and you'd have kind of flat colours. Flat colours means that that bit would all be red. You wouldn't see some white bits. But I think it adds to the texture of it all. And this, doing it this way, uses stuff that you've already got in school, you see. Okay, so next job then is, this is dry now as well. The other side, the yellow side, is dry as well. So I'm going to peel my masking tape off again. And I'm going to flip it over back to the yellow side. Okay. All right, we'll give this a go. I'm not sure how well this will work. Normally, I just do a 2-colour print and leave it at that. But today I decided on 3 colours. And instead of trying to clean this, all I'm going to do is put blue paint straight onto it. We'll see how it works. Okay. All right, so roll that out. Right, this is a good example of paint that's been rolled too thin. So you can see all the way through it, even though I'm rolling it out, you can still see lots of yellow bits. That paint is far too thin. So I need more. Some acrylic paint is thicker than other types. So I've used 3 different colours, but they're all kind of 3 different types as well. There you go, it's getting a bit better now. Right, I can still see through it. So I am going to put a bit more on. Remember, don't add loads and loads, because if you do, it'll really affect the print quality. Some of the paint will squeeze underneath the stencils, and then you won't have the shape of the stencils. You'll know it's enough when, if I look at it now, it does look mostly blue. It's good enough, and there are little ripples in it. Hard for you to see probably, but there are little ripples in there, and that shows me that it's enough. Any more will be too much. Last few rolls are just very gentle ones, trying to get rid of some of the lines that are in there. That will do, and I'll put this down that way around, don't I? Okay, so some of those stencils I already used. If I wanted to, I could use these again because they're dry enough. I've still got enough ones left that haven't been used yet, so I will use those. All right, so looking at that then, I think what I want to do is make sure I cover lots of it in stencils. So I don't want blue. If I don't cover much of it, then most of this will end up blue. A lot of that yellow and a lot of that orange and red will go. So the thing for me to do is to cover lots of it in stencils, just so there's not loads of blue there. There you go. I'm going to reuse this one. I did use this one before and it was there. Now it's kind of gone again, so I'm going to put it back in. I'll put it back in over here. Okay, we'll give that a go. Remember, if you leave it too long, the paint will start drying. So line up your bottom corners, then press as hard as you can. So hard that you can feel the edges of all the stencils you've just put on. And let's see how this turns out. It's a good opportunity when you're using these colours to talk about primary colours. I've used primary colours, haven't I? Red, blue and yellow. And then secondary colours. So we've made some secondary colours. We made orange with the red and the yellow. And let's see what we're making here. Ooh, that's not bad, is it? It's turned out pretty well. Wow. So you can see some bits that have turned out greenish here. That is just the yellow and the blue there. We've got some bits that have turned out purple, where the red and the blue have been laid one on top of the other. And look, you've got some really abstract shapes coming up now then. So I used that person twice. It's come out well there, but it's been a bit more hidden there, but you can still kind of see bits of it. Right, I think that's worked out pretty well. These bits here of yellow, that's only happened because I rolled blue over yellow there without cleaning it off first, but I don't mind that. All right, so it's your turn now. If you're not one more thing, if you're not happy with the way it's turned out and you want to add some other bits, what you could do is you could add some of those coloured stencils. You could put them on. So I wasn't that happy with this one. So what I could do is I could add some of those stencils onto it to make it a bit more interesting. So I could cut some of these stencils up or glue them straight on to make this picture less muddy, less brown, for example. I could even choose some of my white stencils. So you could do things like that. And the interesting thing is you end up making brand new shapes all over it. The whole thing looks really abstract and really interesting and really bright and colourful, a lot like the work of Henri Matisse with his cutouts. Okay, so your turn next. Let's see what you can do. Good luck.